Angel D asks, who are these 400 witnesses? Was BK at a football game that night or at a club? Where do you guys think that they can get 400 witnesses from in this situation?
The bar, the party, the grub truck. It's a lot of witnesses right there. And Pauline's gonna be some also character witnesses. A lot of character witnesses too. But from all
not in
those,
favor.
not in favor.
Not in favor of BK.
But I'm saying, like, from all those 400, you're not gonna see a lot of witnesses. You'll probably be like, I think there's gonna be like maybe 15 witnesses. Yeah.
You also have the 150 party goers that were there the night before.
The night before,
exactly. You have all the people that live in the apartment complex right next to the victim's residence. Now, what would probably happen is that police made contact with everybody, filled out a contact card and their information, and the defense is utilizing them and saying that, oh, these are witnesses, when they're really not all witnesses. You know what I mean? They were just people that police spoke to. The defense is going to stretch the truth, especially in this portion of the where trial is, because we can't verify anything that they're saying, and the prosecution don't want to talk, because then if they say anything or validate anything, that will get the case thrown out. So they have to sit on their hands and close their mouth.
Yeah, but I think that's what everybody has to do still. I wonder if they're gonna maybe go back and fight, maybe have the gag order dropped, like the families, because they're wanting to talk to media, and they're wanting to get their side of the story out. So I wonder if they're gonna get that dropped or not. Have to wait a whole 2 years, because it's like they're pushing it to mid 25, but they more want like 26. That's what the lawyer sounded like.
Yeah, well, I mean, the prosecution said no matter what, it has to be the summer, because they can't accommodate for schooling and the university at the same time. Mark asks, I wonder how good the red light cameras in Pullman are, and if they can tell if he's wearing the same clothes when he returns that are on the way to Idaho. But I don't know, it's pretty dark. It might be hard to see in there.
His apartment complex, is it just an apartment complex, or is it like part of the school's housing?
I want to say it's off campus living, because the neighbor, I think, had kids and stuff.
Because I was gonna say, like, I'm pretty sure those apartment complexes has some sort of like security cameras. The question is, like, I wonder if they notice him coming back wearing something different. Yeah,
dude, that's true. If he's leaving wearing something dark and he's back in a bright colored something, then that's possible. Pickle says, I heard a rumor, not that it was a female, but that they had seen Xana through the window or door, and they both noticed the sus car. I've heard that some of the things that you're saying are true, and I know exactly where supposedly Xana was when they both saw supposedly a suspicious vehicle. So, but those things are allegedly. I don't know. I haven't seen it myself. I haven't spoken to these people myself. I just have only heard these things as well. Also, guys, I mean, well, this one's all members only, but for those that aren't members, our membership stuff is also on our podcast form, and it comes out a few days later, but it'll show up. It'll be there. And so I guess we can let everybody who are not members know that members get this live and in color. Non-members get just the audio, and it's like days later.
It's worth it. You get to see all this, all that.
You wouldn't get to know that I'm wearing a red shirt today.
DD driver would have seen the Elantra based on the video we have seen. I would agree so. Angel comes in. Do you think that Ann Taylor watched your mic drop Vargas moment? Witnesses talk too much to the media. That might be it. Also, Enan Harsh, we know he was subpoenaed by the defense team. He says he hasn't been talked to. He's been a guy that's talked a lot to the media, but I don't think he'd be a guy that they'd want on their side. In his conversations, he had also said that he'd seen a white Elantra parked back there because his ex-girlfriend drove a white Elantra, and he would see it parked right behind the victim's house. And he thought it was his ex-girlfriend stalking him. Little did he know it was probably Bryan Kohberger. Stacy Cole asked, I wonder if the prosecution will parade a bunch of the kids' friends on the stand, each one saying they have never seen Bryan before, that he's never been to any of these parties. Well, they have his locations, right? They got a warrant out for his GPS locations. That's going to tell a big story, because they were able to go back, a year before? And so before he moved there. So they're going to know if he was at any of these parties. They're going to know down to a foot if he ever entered the buildings at these parties, or if he just hung around outside, those type of things. And I think that's probably going to hold a little bit more weight than what witness testimony could be, because, somebody not noticing something, it's kind of hard, especially if they're not paying attention. But they could, ask maybe those that were close, like Dylan, Bethany, Jack DeCore, Hunter Johnson, those guys that were a constant folks that were at those gatherings, if they'd seen them. But I don't know if it's going to be a bunch of kids, maybe about 3 or 4, if that. What do you think?
At this point, by those statements that BK's lawyer made, I can guarantee you most of the witnesses are going to be in the defense's side. I mean, defense in the prosecution side. My bad.
Yeah, they keep getting the door slammed in their face.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. That's what she said, and I'm like, yeah, this is most of these. If out of those 400, it'll probably be like 390 from the prosecution side witnesses.
Shit, I think you're giving him too much credit there with 10, and so
the 10 are his lawyers, and
I mean that's why they have to go back 3 generations. Like,
I think they'll have like maybe his neighbor to talk about him, and then his probably old professor to talk about his professionalism.
Well, there's only one. There's only one that talked about his professionalism and whatever. And she said, this is the one that recommended him to this program at WSU.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, he was brilliant, but it was also an online class, and she never met him.
Yeah, but I'm talking about the one that he was being the TA for, the teachers. They might bring him or her into the stands to see.
John Snyder? Well, I don't know if he was the TA person or not. That was the person he got in arguments with. But you think that that's going to be in to his benefit?
Negative.
No,
I was about to say that.
I was the prosecution, but I think that's one of the people that would know him.
Right. But who's the defense gonna bring?
Parents, probably. Maybe even I don't know about the sister from what I heard.
It's not going to be anybody from that area, because I don't think anybody really knows him that well from that area, right? They're willing to put out their neck and say, I actually knew him very well or whatnot. The people that have come forward to talk, on his behalf, I think there was one person. He was a guy that was doing heroin with him. They both cleaned up. He was also the guy that said that he had gotten text messages from Bryan Kohberger around Thanksgiving, where he said that he wanted to participate in a high-profile crime, that he wanted to solve one. However, those type of positions are hard to come by. I thought it was kind of odd that he's talking about a high-profile crime, and then around that time, a high-profile crime is occurring. Now, with everything going around in his life, he had lost his job or was forced to resign as a security guard, while he was at DeSales, while he was taking that online class where the teacher said that he was brilliant. It wasn't like he wasn't throwing out red flags during that time. That was during the time he was getting fired at his old school. And then, the TA situation that was happening in Washington State University. There's no way in hell Bryan Kohberger would pass a background check for a police department position anytime in the near future. Just no way. I think he knew that. I think he knew that he was not going to be able to be the cop in that high profile crime. Now, there's other 2 roles there. You can be the victim or you can be the killer. You know what I mean?
They're going to have a tough time, man. The defense is. They're going to have a tough time finding people that are going to want to just even show up. I mean, look at